and this here may be tough to you. Snack cake to me, yeah, more hostess. This been overdue forever. Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should've made you cut the feta, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's good, Shellitronnn here, the most woke, no joking. I'm back again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry Biscuit, man. I'm gonna need your help on this one. I'm actually gonna need your help on this one because I'm not 100% sure exactly how I feel on this topic, but I've been thinking that I think I have a pretty unpopular opinion about a key member of the Panthers team right now, and I need to figure out, is this wrong for me to think this about this guy? Am I overvaluing what I'm expecting out of this position, or are there more Panthers fans than I actually think that actually agree with me on this point? And I'm talking about Devin Funchess. Really, the wide receiver group as a whole for the last few years, I'm talking about the last, 6 years, I'm thinking, for the Panthers. But honestly, it's getting to the point where I'm really concerned about how we scout and how we develop our wide receivers. And I've kind of always noticed this, but it really took me stepping back and looking at how we're handling DJ Moore so early, when we definitely do need him right now, to really understand and really think about this a little bit more and say, we really don't develop wide receivers all that well. And I'm not sure if it's that we don't develop them that well, or if we just don't scout them all that well. I mean, we got the #1 receiver in the draft this year, so it's not much to scout there. I think it was obvious what the 1 and 2 picks were. I like Anthony Miller a lot, actually, but I think Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore going 1-2 in the for receivers was a pretty smart move, to be real with you. But I will say this: since Steve Smith left, I don't think the Panthers have actually re-signed a single receiver. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've actually re-signed a single receiver. Now, we know about that one guy who lives up in Buffalo now. I don't want to get into his stats. Now, he said something about any other quarterback other than Cam. I don't remember the exact quote. He didn't have a lot to say to Cam when we went up there to Buffalo for that preseason game, but we ain't going to talk about that, man, because, you know, him and Bojangles, which I love a lot, they got a mutual relationship going on, and I don't want to mess up anything with that. But if we can be real right here for a second, for a team that has really good pass catching out the backfield, I think we've always had that. We've had what I hope to say is a fringe Hall of Fame tight end. It's kind of hard because he doesn't have any rings and he doesn't set records, so it's kind of hard for tight ends to make the Hall of Fame, especially since it's extremely hard for even wide receivers to make the Hall of Fame. It's really a tough decision there, and he's never really been the #1 guy. Now, with Gronk out, if Gronk was never in the league, then I think it would be a really good 1A, 1B between Travis Kelce and Greg Olsen. But with Gronk being there and then Travis Kelce being one of the more, I guess, publicized and one of the more public type of tight ends, you don't really get to see Greg Olsen in the same conversation as these guys, even though he's been really good and probably even more consistent and a lot healthier, if you don't count last year and this year, than those guys. But this isn't about that. The point is that our pass game has really been not all that focused on receivers ever since Steve Smith left. I mean, it's really been Greg Olsen looking out the backfield and getting what we can from our receivers. Now, I know we've had good receivers, you know, here and there sometimes, but obviously Kelvin Benjamin, he got 1,000 yards his first year, and he got pretty respectable stats his next 2 years, but he was never really a good / great receiver out there. He never really struck me as a #1 guy. Now, he could have been. The thing is, that's not true. He actually did strike me as a #1 guy at one point. Rookie season, I was all in on him. But then I started seeing those lazy routes, him not giving that effort. I don't have to bring up that picture of him showing up to training camp, or was it mini camp, looking like he ate mini donuts. I don't want to get into all that, but it was like a really short honeymoon period with that man, and it felt like we found something that really could have been great in Kelvin Benjamin, and you can't want it more than that person has to. They have to want it more, and it looked like Kelvin didn't want it more. He saw that he was an athletic godsend on the college level, and he felt like he didn't have to actually work at it at the NFL level, like it'll just all come naturally. You can do that in college. You can be the best athlete in college, but not in the NFL. These guys are a lot smarter. And honestly, if you're on a good offense, a lot of these NCAA teams don't have great defense. It really struck me when I thought, Devin Funchess hasn't had a real breakout season. Now, I know he came to the league kind of young, and he had to go from being, a tight end type to an actual receiver. In his first 2 years, I think he had 340 and 470 for his reception yards. And it wasn't all that great. But last year, I will admit, he had 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and I think 65, 64 receptions, which isn't bad. But when you put these numbers into context, you have to remember last year we had literally, let that marinate, literally no receiving options. We had Kelvin Benjamin for half the year, and we were looking at him a lot. Way too often, if you ask me, if you ask literally any Panthers fan, if you ask anybody who ever watched half of a Panthers game, they know that we targeted Kelvin Benjamin way too much. I understand that. Then we didn't have Greg Olsen for more than half the year, and he's our first read most of the time. I mean, when I like the guy. I like Sunshine. But when you got Britton Burson out here on your active roster, you don't want Britton Burson you don't want him on your field. I like the guy. He's a cool guy. He's like one of those fan favorite kind of dudes out there, like guys you want to root for. But he's not a guy you really want touching the field on your team. Anyway, the point is, Devin Funchess last year really had everything on a golden platter for him. I mean, once you saw that Curtis Samuel was out and everything like that, it was pretty much him getting all the catches. He had all the targets basically. 800 yards, 64 receptions, 8 touchdowns. That sounds like a breakout year. And I know the run game was atrocious. So it was really good that Devin Funchess had those yards and had the stats he had last year, because we couldn't do anything on the ground except for Cam, really. We had our identity kind of snatched from us when we lost Greg Olsen and Curtis Samuel couldn't play, and Kelvin Benjamin proved that Dave Gettleman just can't draft. I'm trying to figure out, do the Panthers actually re-sign Devin Funchess after this year? And not just re-sign. The thing is, do we re-sign him for what he's worth, or see if we can get him on a team-friendly type of contract? Because honestly, if we're gonna sign him for what the market's gonna bear for him, that sounds like it's gonna be about 12, 13 million to keep a number one receiver. And I've always said this: I don't think Devin Funchess is actually a one receiver. He has the body, the build, the game of a number one receiver, but he's not the number one receiver on a winning team with a strong pass game. Unless you're going underneath a lot, unless you're using your running backs and tight ends a lot, which we do, he's not really the receiver that puts fear in really any secondary's heart. No one's really all that worried about him that much. And we have, Demir Bird, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, if we still keep Torrey and Jarius Wright, who both of those guys I do really like, especially Jarius Wright. Jarius Wright, I hope we extend this man. I actually really hope we do extend this man. But I'm really thinking that for the kind of production that we can expect from Devin Funchess in the future, I'm really thinking that these guys, you can find big body, X-type receivers who you can develop through your team and through the season, kind of like 3rd, 4th roundish in the draft. You can find these kind of bigger kind of guys who don't have to be breakout All-American stars in college. You can just get one of these guys who's a big body, a definite red zone threat, a guy who can run a fade route. Because we have all types of things underneath. Underneath and speed guys, we have that. we have that everywhere. That's not what we need. We don't need slot guys. We don't need number 2s. We don't need guys who are possession receivers who are underneath and that kind of stuff. We need a really, basically a fade type receiver. And the point isn't that Devin Funchess can't be that. The point is that the money that we have to spend to retain him would be kind of ridiculous to even consider, considering you can probably get something comparable to what he's putting out in the draft. Or, since we have so much cap room coming our way next year with all these guys retiring or us, dropping some guys, we're going to be able to at least look at some other, maybe better, I won't say better, but better wide receivers who are out there who are coming off contracts. And we could possibly pay that money to those guys. The Bucks have Mike Evans, the Saints have Michael Thomas, and the Falcons have that guy. The Falcons have that guy out there. And those are all guys who could be considered top 10 guys. Michael Thomas may not be a top 10 guy. I had to think about it a little bit more. But Mike Evans and Julio Jones are for sure top 5. If they're not top 5, then Mike Evans is definitely top 10. I wouldn't put him any lower than 7, really. But I just think that with the cap jump we're going to be seeing this year for the Panthers, and, you know, the opportunity to not spend a big chunk of that or a decent sized chunk of that on Devin Funchess and using it either elsewhere, the O-line, the secondary. I mean, even if we don't get another receiver on the team, we need to find something for the O-line or secondary next year. And, I mean, we need an edge rusher, too. That's a whole different story, I know, but that's just where my head's at, because you have to think about all these different things. Like, the money doesn't have to go to a receiver. That extra money can go to other things that the team needs. And it's looking like, I think that the pieces that we have right now may be pretty good if we can spend that money on established positions like safety and O-line for free agents. We can get a guy in the draft, 3rd, 4th round maybe, who can put up 600, maybe 650 and 5 touchdowns as a rookie. What do you guys think? Am I just way off base? Is this a totally like unpopular opinion? Am I like, hey, are you guys actually, I mean, I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on Devin Funchess in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Being told y'all I been the man. Being told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.